There we go.
All right.
We are live.
Welcome to the show,
Yep.
Brandon. Let's just go ahead and just have you do a little intro, who you are, what you're doing, and go from there.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me today. My name's Brandon. I know Chris from the Marine Corps actually. Um, he
Let's
came in a
go.
little before me, but that's kind of how I know Chris. And I've been involved in fitness, I guess, to get to the point of the podcast. Um, since I was 14 years old, I was working in a gym, and I've run my own facility. I've been general manager and area sales director for multiple different fitness chains, and then also done a couple of business ventures with friends, starting their own fitness companies um, here in Denver and in California. And then I'm looking at doing another one here in San Antonio, Texas, probably looking like end of 2024. But yeah, right now I'm currently out of fitness in terms of as a profession, but I still involve myself in the community pretty heavily. I still have a couple clients that I see here in person, and a couple clients that I just online coach. So
Yeah.
that's a kind of broad.
Wow.
We can dive into a little bit more detail, but yeah,
Yeah.
I've been involved in kind of every single facet of fitness that you can imagine since I was young.
Dude, that's awesome. I mean, being age of 14, getting involved early definitely probably helped you quite a bit in that journey as well.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what sparked my interest. Obviously I did the Marine Corps for 5 years immediately following high school, and then
Mhm.
got straight back into a Crunch Fitness in West Hollywood, Los Angeles.
Okay.
That was my first job out of the Marine Corps, was going right back into fitness. And I think, yeah, a lot of it was just, I loved the gym when I was younger, man. Like a lot of
Mhm.
people don't find it until later on in life, but I loved lifting from the time I was like 14 years old. And my first job ever was just like re-racking the weights at the gym, getting paid cash under the table. You know what I mean? Like, so
There,
I just
yeah,
loved
for
the
sure.
environment and loved being there from a really young age.
Yeah, that's awesome. Was that family related, or you just 14, just out of school, and then was that like a side hustle, or how'd you get in at that age?
So I think back in the early 2000s, it was a little bit easier to like get an under the table job or something like that. You know what I mean? Nowadays, I don't think
Mhm.
companies would hire you, but I just walked into the gym that I went to, and I was just like, hey, you guys need like help around here. And, it wasn't like a chain, so it wasn't super corporate either. But, the dude who owned it was just like, well, yeah, I mean, I could use you to like re-rack weights. I'll pay you whatever it was. I think $8 an hour or something like that. Like,
Oh, there you
and
go.
yeah, you could just walk around and re-rack weights. And so I was like, I'm in, bro. Like, I always
Hell yeah, dude.
I didn't grow up with a lot of money, so I always had some sort of hustle. So yeah, that was
Mhm.
my hustle from 14 to 16, was just re-racking weights at the gym, man.
Dude, when I was 14, $8 an hour felt like $60 an hour now. You know what I mean? That was a big deal at that age for sure.
Right? I was the only, kid my age with money in middle school and freshman year of high school. I always had cash on me, and people were like, "What the hell, man?"
Yeah, hell yeah, I love that. So let's get into the business aspect of it. How'd you get into, working your way up from like LA and Crunch Fitness and then kind of segueing into that business?
So obviously, I think with a lot of people that get into fitness, my first interest was in training and like being a
Mhm.
coach, right? And so that was kind of my entry into it. But they quickly found out Crunch Fitness was pretty aggressive when it comes to like sales goals, and their compensation plans were also pretty good for trainers and membership sales guys who did really well with that. And
Mhm.
so I've just kind of always had a knack for talking to people and for sales and like kind of business acumen too. Before I even went to business school in college, I was really interested in like how to run a business and entrepreneurship and stuff like that. So I just kind of transferred over into sales because I was good at it and there was more money in
Yeah.
it than coaching, to be completely honest. And just I became the assistant general manager of that facility when I was only 22, 23 years old. Um, and then slowly just kind of like kept getting, better positions. I went to a gym that had a higher price point for a membership and became a sales guy
Mhm.
there, and then moved my way up into management with that company. Did it all through college. And then my big like break, I guess you could say, though, was when I graduated from college. I moved to Salt Lake City, Utah to take a position with a chain. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar, just because they're not nationwide yet, but it's called Vasa Fitness. It's a
Yes, yeah, I've heard.
HVLP, which is high volume, low price, kind of business model, $20 a month for the membership. They got basketball courts, pools, the whole 9 yards, more like a 24-hour fitness. You know what I mean? Where it's just high, like, you know what I mean? Like everything that you can imagine there, but you expect 90% of your members to not use their membership, to keep paying the $20 a month, never go. You know what I mean? When you're packing 15,000 members into one facility, you can't have them all be daily users of the gym. Otherwise it would be an absolute madhouse, and they still are kind of madhouses. So that was my break, I guess, because they were brand new. They had just bought out 13 Gold's gyms in Salt Lake City, and they were
13 golds they bought
rebranding.
out. Damn.
Yeah, just 13 from a single owner, and they were rebranding those into what is now Vasa Fitness. And now they have, over 50 locations throughout Utah, Colorado, Kansas, I forget, Oklahoma, but kind of here in the Mountain West and Midwest.
Gotcha. Kind of sounds like they took the business model from like Planet Fitness, you know what I mean? Like that $10
Yeah, it's very
a month,
similar.
$15 a month. So
Yeah, all those HVLP gyms kind of follow that same general concept, and then just put their own little twists and spins on it. But the benefit of getting in with that company so early was that I got to not only experience career growth, but I got to see what a gym going from 13 locations to 30 locations in a year looks like, and like really branding a concept, figuring out who you are. It's hectic, right? When you're starting, when with a new business like that has just rapid accelerated growth, because you're really trying to figure out who you are and figure out what works. And so that was really beneficial for the business side of the fitness game for me, was to see that all happen and to be a part of that and move up from being just a sales guy to a general manager to an area sales director and so on. And went up pretty high with that company and had a good time doing it, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I follow you fucking since day one, since we met, social media and stuff. It looked like life was pretty hectic, but enjoying it too. And that's what it's all about. So couple of things, when you're growing that business and you got that high trajectory as far as increase in sales and increase in locations, just back to back to back to back at such a high pace, what was some of the roadblocks that you kind of ran into?
I would say when you're talking about just like rapid growth, for any type of business, the main issues that you're going to run into is the people that you bring in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you have to build a really solid team from the very beginning. Turnover is a huge issue when you're trying to build a concept. And also, like I said earlier, figuring out your identity. I think a lot of people kind of like launch a business with either too many ideas or not enough, right? And what I mostly see from entrepreneurs is too many ideas, and they just throw a million things at it and at the wall and see what sticks. You know what I mean? That's not the best approach. You kind of have to iron this all out before you start experimenting and dumping money into expansion, right? So that's also a roadblock. We were fortunate enough to have like investors. Obviously, this is a very corporate kind of business model, and so we weren't super worried about burning through cash. But yeah, there was a lot of road bumps. Like even now I walked into a Vasa 3 weeks ago when I was on vacation in Utah, just to use the gym for the weekend while I was there. Completely different. The retail's completely changed. I always secret shop gyms. I don't know if you guys do that, but like I used to work for them for a long time. And so I just walked in pretending like I was interested in a membership, and I had just moved to the area because I wanted to hear their pitch, and I wanted to hear like kind of where they put their focus. How hard do you push personal training packages at an HVLP gym? How's the tour around the facility? What are you like highlighting? I love doing that just to like sharpen my skills, because I learn a lot just like listening to somebody talk who's good at sales. And just to kind of see, I was curious to see where the business had like gone and how they were training their staff. So it's crazy how different Vasa Fitness is now to just like 5 years ago when I left.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, because I'll let AB kind of explain our business model, but we talk about it too. Is first, you don't want to grow too fast where you can't control it, got too many moving parts, and then I think you hit the nail on the head when you said you got to build that team first. You got to have those people who are trustworthy, you connect with, who have the same mindset, and then bring it to the next level. So I'll let it be kind of talk about our business model and what our next 5 to 10 looks like here. So
Yeah, so we kind of have a little bit different of a business model, but I've heard of the same kind of idea because we have a low like it's a lower volume on the member side. So we keep it more exclusive. We also have a smaller location, so that was one of the things, but like opening this facility for me, it was like, all right, like I want to make it exclusive. I want to have the room for, personal training being like our prime, driver of the business. So like we need room and space for myself and whoever's on board to be able to coach their clients and not worry about, running into having a full gym floor where we can't train our clients. So the members are really low. I think like right now we're at 40, somewhere in the high 40s on members. But myself, Chris, our other coach, Chelsea, we train. Chris and I train throughout the whole day. Chelsea has a few sessions and does a group class. But that's kind of our main thing, is more like focus on the personal training side and how we can, just optimize that for most of our business, and the members kind of just keep the lights on in the gym.
Yeah. No, I think,
so you guys are kind of doing a hybrid model. So you guys focus on personal training, but your 40 whatever members, they can come and use the facility whenever they want during operating hours, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I've actually never worked in a like a personal training gym that's smaller that operates like that. I was always curious how it would work because the two boutique training gyms that I ran and operated were strictly training. Like you could only come there if you were training. And so the price point obviously had to be a little bit higher, like you guys said. Your members keep the lights on with their monthly dues with that EFT tap. We didn't have that. So the price point does have to be a little higher. What are you guys charging for your personal training sessions? Like what's your average cost?
Right now, like we're in a very, very small demographic. Our population demographics just shy of 30,000 was last year's metrics. And right now, I mean, I'm charging 40 an hour or per session, but I've got 34 sessions a week going right now. And then plus I run online coaching as well. And I've got like 10 members right now online coaching, and those price points are different too. I got a tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 package depending on how much coaching they need, nutrition, all that stuff too. So that definitely that's extra money. You know what I mean? That's just going in the bank, but I make most of my money with the in-person stuff.
Yeah, I'm kind of dabbling a little bit with the packaging. I'm kind of shifting away from just the, per session price when I present, and more of, presenting it as, look, yes, training is what we need to be doing, obviously, but nutrition, accountability, like having your program, like all of that is, also essential. So I kind of have been presenting it as all of that together instead of just like, oh, you just pay me like per session. So instead of it's like a, one price for like this price, you get 4 sessions per month, and then the nutrition, the app, your program, and all that stuff versus, just the hourly is what I'm kind of shifting towards at the moment.
Yeah, one thing that I helped Vasa develop, and I've implemented at other facilities that I stepped into too, is really stepping away from offering single sessions and even offering packages where people can buy like a 10-pack of sessions or whatever. There's not a lot of value behind that for a consumer, right? They can use those sessions whenever they want. A lot of them like use 3 or 4 really quick and then kind of fall off, right? And they have no accountability after that. And so what I really have learned that works, which it sounds like you guys are doing as well, is offering a program. Like I hate using packs or you really want to talk to them about, hey, you need a 3-month program, you need a 6-month program, you need a year-long program. And obviously the price usually goes down per session depending on how long they commit to, but then they actually have value. And then you can actually talk to them about like, hey, here's where I want to see you in 6 months, right? I want you to be able to do this, this, and this. I want you to be at, this body fat percentage, and you can actually set these like measurable and achievable goals for your clients. And I think that builds a lot of value and also keeps them engaged during the program.
Yeah, absolutely. I know for me, like consults and intakes and stuff like that, for me, the biggest sell point is not the program. The biggest sell point is myself, right? You're not hiring the program. You're not paying for the program. You're paying for me. You're paying for the coach. I think that kind of gets lost in the sauce when you look at, one of my biggest pet peeves and I see online is I grew my business from 5K to 100K in less than 6 months. Here's a strategy. You know what I mean? You can't manage 70, 80 fucking people and be intentful with your coaching and with everything and be able to give everybody what they need. So that's one of the biggest pet peeves in the industry right now is, obviously, yeah, I want to make money, but two, I want to be 110% involved with every single one of my clients.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, people are with technology and with social media and stuff like that, especially with these like celebrity trainers or they're so called. Yeah. I mean, but I get it. They're optimizing cash and like I can respect that from a business point of view, but you're right. Are they really delivering the best product at the end of the day? No.
Yeah.
I mean, how the percentage of their clients that probably get the result that they're looking for, my guess would be that it's super low percentage, but they have, 100 new clients every month that are signing up for a kind of one size fits all online package. And yeah, clearly the value just isn't going to be as high as having that like in-person coach who's really regimenting like all of the facets of your training, including like nutrition. I'm a big lifestyle guy. So when I'm making someone's nutrition plan and when I'm making someone's workout plan, first I'm like, give me an idea of what your weeks look like. You know what I mean? Like when do you wake up? When do you go to bed? Like what do you do during the day? How much time are you spending doing hobbies? What are those hobbies? If you can get an idea of your client's lifestyle, then you can really build a program that's going to be sustainable for them and keep them engaged during the process.
Absolutely. I mean, when I talk to clients about that, it's more, habits, daily habits. What are you doing? What's your sleep schedule like? What's work like too? Because you got to manage all the different stresses too before you even think about saying, hey, I'm gonna program 5 workouts a week, and then that's not achievable, right? That's not attainable. Then they get down and dirty on themselves because they're not hitting, every single workout that we're planning. So yeah, I definitely agree 110% on that aspect of it too. And then kind of want to go back to, you said earlier, you're a people person, right? You're a sales guy. You know what I mean? There's a lot of new trainers that are coming into business now that I've talked to and that are wanting to get into is maybe their people skills needs a little help, right? So you get all your certifications and stuff. It doesn't teach you how to be a fucking salesman. You know what I mean? It teaches you biomechanics, understanding how to write programming, nutrition, all that shit. But I really think people need to have a good understanding as far as how do you sell, right? How do you sell yourself? Being confident in how you speak to people and stuff like that. So
yeah, absolutely. One of the biggest issues that I've run into throughout, and this goes for the small boutique personal training gyms with a really high price point and very qualified trainers, all the way down to HVLP models where we're hiring like, girls and guys fresh out of college who just got their NASM. You know what I mean? Never trained a day in their life. The biggest issue that I've had with trainers, like as a manager, has always been sharpening sales skills, right? And especially when they have some sort of quota and they're just like, dude, I'm a trainer, I'm not in sales, like, and they don't really want to learn that side of the business. But I'm like, what I found, and obviously this is kind of a blanket statement, but the ones who are really passionate about what they're doing just generally kind of figure those skills out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The ones that are just doing it to collect a paycheck, yeah, they're never going to learn it because they're not passionate about what they're doing. And anybody can learn sales skills, and you don't even have to have sales skills to be good at selling yourself if you're passionate about the product that you're offering, which is yourself, as we were talking about before. So if you hire people that are just like super passionate about what they're doing, love helping people, love seeing them get results, generally they'll figure it out on their own or just require very minimal amounts of training to kind of develop those people skills.
Absolutely. And, for me, I'm always selling. Like when I go to Chiefs games, tailgating and stuff, I got 8 clients just from fucking tailgating, whether they're in person or online now. You know what I mean? So it's always just
always be prospecting, right?
Get the brand out there, get the name out there. You know what I mean? Just have those nitpick conversations. Like last year, me and AB were at a golf course, jumped in with the dad and son, and I maybe had a few too many beers towards the end of it, but I was trying to fucking sell them a little bit, plant that seed the first hole, and 6, 7 holes, just keep talking to them and stuff. But for me, getting into it, I think you have to be 110% passionate about what we do, right? Getting into it, starting from zero. You know what I mean? Not making money from where we're at now. I mean, we're not even 2 years into the venture. I mean, I think, was it October 12th will be your 2 year,
Yep.
something like that.
Yep.
So it's
October 5th.
just, getting the brand, getting the name out there, being passionate. And then like for me, the reward of seeing people succeed or have that lifestyle change or quality of life change too. That's more to me than what money is to me right now. So
Yeah, absolutely, man. And you see that like across the industry, people don't realize, I think, when they're young and getting into fitness as a coach, like they are most are passionate about it, right? But they don't
yeah,
realize that there's not a lot of money in it. Whether you're starting your own business and doing something entrepreneurial or you're working for whatever, a big chain gym, the day that you get into training, your books are not built up, your business is not built up, and there is no money in it. So you got to really be
nope,
passionate to get past those first couple speed bumps. And then
yeah,
after that, the strong survive, I guess. Like perseverance is key
for
in this
sure.
industry, because when you first get into training, there is no money in it, bro.
No, I feel you, dude. And I think I can probably relate a little bit of that perseverance and drive to military experience in the Marine Corps. You know what I mean? I mean, you've been through some shit. I've been through some shit. Just not having that quit. So definitely helped out too. So
Yeah, absolutely,
absolutely.
man.
Oh yeah. So what's are you going to go back to school for education, or what's your plans on that aspect?
No, so I just got this tech sales position. There's just really good money in it. It's fully remote
Yeah.
work, so I can really focus on my own personal fitness. And then, like I
Hmm.
said, since I was 14, I've always had a side hustle. So I still got my clients that I train,
Hmm.
and still got a couple other things going on. Like I was driving for Lyft for the last 4 months while I've been running this
Okay.
restaurant, just in my free time, just for some extra cash. Obviously, not super passionate about driving for Lyft, but it was just it was something to fill my time. You know what I mean? So I'm
Hey,
really
those are
excited.
cold leads. Those
Yeah,
are
right.
cold leads that get in. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Just fucking sell them there.
I will say that driving for Lyft was a great networking opportunity, especially in a large city like this in Denver. Like I've gone
Mhm.
out with some people that I've given rides to now. I've done some business with people that I've given rides to. A lot of them will just like come into my restaurant that I was running, be like, dude, you drove my Lyft one time. You told me that you were the general manager over here. What's up, man? And that's good for business. So yeah, obviously great networking opportunity, but it's not something that I'm super passionate about. So I'm really excited to, I'll share a little bit just about, like what I'm doing currently with fitness,
Mhm.
and kind of a little bit of the backstory as well, into what got me into this. But recently, just within the last like 2 or 3 years, I've really got back into coaching. I've moved away from the business side of running fitness facilities and stuff, and just done, you know, one-on-one coaching. And
Mhm.
my big things with coaching that changed that that wasn't the same as 10 years ago when I was doing this, is I look at training as a much more comprehensive package now. Like there's so many different facets of it, and that came from, one, I had an addiction problem in 2020, and then I
Mhm.
had some serious severe injuries, and actually a broken neck. The first injury that I had was what caused the addiction issues,
Mhm.
actually. And I got really out of shape for the first time in my entire life. You remember me in the Marine Corps? I was a savage,
Oh yeah.
dude. Like I
Fuck
could
yeah, you
drink
were.
all night long, get an hour of sleep, and smoke everybody in the run the next day. You know
Yeah.
what I
Let's
mean?
go.
Like, and so I got really out of shape for the first time. I wish I had like before and afters to show you guys. I could pull some up later and send them over to you guys. But I got super out of shape. I was very unhealthy, not mentally well, addicted to opiates. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
then I really like turned that all around, and started focusing, and not just like on the mental health stuff, but I realized too that I wasn't very mobile. I wasn't very flexible. I've always been like fast, had good cardio, been able to put on muscle pretty easily, just because I think I understand the concepts and I have pretty good drive. But it wasn't a complete package. So I started really diving into like Alex Guerrero's book. I don't know if you guys are
Mhm.
familiar with him, Tom Brady's trainer, and started like
Mhm.
really looking at pliability and flexibility. I became the general manager and area sales director for a Stretch Lab, which is a exponential fitness chain that's nationwide, that
Okay.
just does PNF stretching. And so now the clients that I take on are generally recovering addicts, veterans struggling with PTSD and mental health issues, abused women, things like that. And those
Mhm.
are the kind of clients that I take on, because I'm like, hey, this is a complete package. We need to focus on your mental health. We need to focus on flexibility, pliability, physical strength, physical endurance. Like Obviously, if you're a power lifter, you're just kind of pigeonholing yourself because that's, you go to compete and that's what you need to be able to do. If you're a distance runner, you're focusing more on the endurance. So obviously some certain people tailor things, but for your everyday people, which I think is who all of us try to appeal to the most, you really got to put it all together and show them that, no, there's all of these things that you need to include in your program and to start progressing in order to like live a better life. Some of my best success stories that give me the most happiness aren't the dude who gets on stage for the first time and competes and is just absolutely jacked, like, good for you, bro. Absolutely. And I'll train people like that if they really have the drive and they really want to. But my favorite clients were like the 70-year-old woman who just wanted to be able to pick up her grandchildren, and she's like, I can't even bend down and pick them up and play with them. And so just getting her functionally strong enough to be able to play with her grandkids again, that's the kind of lifestyle changes that bring me more satisfaction, I would say, with my clients.
Yeah, dude, I align well with that. You know what I mean? I love my old people. Like, I have my athletes, I have my younger kids and the boys and girls, but for me is, bringing back that quality of life and having somebody say, hey, I was able to play for 2 hours with my grandkids this weekend. Thank you. You know what I mean? Like, one of my clients, she's a multiple transplant survivor and cancer survivor too. You know what I mean? Getting her back to a standard human being functional life. You know what I mean? That's what drives me. So definitely resonates really well on that aspect.
Yeah,
for sure.
I love those little, just like when you can improve someone's quality of life, isn't that like really truly like what being a coach is all about? It's not always about being able to throw the hardest or jump the highest. Obviously, those are facets of training. But I think for most of us that are into coaching, it's really just being able to improve the quality of someone's life.
Yeah, no, I feel you. When I got out of the Corps, I was lost. I didn't have any direction. I didn't have any purpose. I didn't feel like it, right? So I jumped in at a manufacturing company here, and for me, I always like leading people. So I worked my way up to management real quick within 2 years and ran a wheel line business for a while. But I just didn't feel that like connection with the community, connection with myself, my internal self. I tell people, when I had my son saved me. I mean, that was my purpose. That I found that purpose. He'll be 9 here, May 22nd. But if it wasn't for him, I probably wouldn't be here, to be honest with you. I was depressed. I was drinking a lot. I was 247, 250, about 30% body fat, couldn't move, strong. I just like looked at myself one day. I was like, I can't do this. I mean, I got to set an example for him. I got to set an example for, any other person who's looking up to me that I don't know about. And I want to get back in the community and want to help. So definitely gym definitely saved that too, for sure. But I think there's a stigma out there too, is I don't really want to say gym's therapy, but gym actually, it's a good release. I mean, I think therapy's therapy, but I think gym is a good release. It kind of keeps me sane. If I'm feeling stressed after a couple of days of not hitting, I get a little tight, little tension going on, but yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. I was telling someone this the other day and they're like, what, really? That's serious? But I've had probably a dozen plus or minus a couple, clients cry during a training session with me. And not because the workout was so hard, but just because they start opening up about all this emotional shit that's going on in their lives. You develop this really close bond with your client sometimes. And also, when you are exerting yourself physically too, I think it starts firing the neurons in the brain too. You start thinking through shit. And so the gym is absolutely therapy. Am I saying that it's a replacement for going to actual like mental health counseling if you have issues with that? Absolutely not. But is it a great supplement to that? And will you start thinking about things different as you start feeling better and as you start like getting like reaching goals? Like, I think a lot of our clients, dude, have never really accomplished things physically in their life. So just being able to do their first pull-up or whatever is such a big thing for them and boost the confidence through the roof. And it 100% translates to business, to being a parent. You know what I mean? As you were talking about earlier, like 100%, if you can push yourself and you can achieve goals and you can either self-motivate or do that with a coach, then it's absolutely going to translate and spill over into a lot of other things in your life.
Yeah, I think you hit a good point too, as far as, connecting with your clients. That's good retention just from the business side, but that just builds that trust factor too with that one-on-one coaching. And it's not even the one-on-one in person, it's the one-on-one online too. I mean, you know, depending on how long we talk or if they need conversations like that. It's not just about how strong are we getting. It's about, you know, how we feeling up there today. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's
And
my
then,
first question. When I was running the
yeah,
boutique personal training gym, as soon as my clients would walk through that front door, well, I had to go let them in because it was obviously a locked facility. So I'd go let them in and I'd say, hey, how are we feeling today? And, you know,
mhm,
if they started being like, oh, well, my knee feels a little bit, and I'm, no, how are you feeling today? Like, how
yeah,
mentally prepared? Are you tired? What, you know, tell me how you're actually feeling so that we can like
mhm,
start this off on the right foot. If they're feeling sluggish or whatever, you can get real creative with a warm up to get their brain
mhm,
firing, to get that mind body connection going. They've been sitting at a desk all day for like 9 hours. There's different ways that you can get them engaged early. So that's always my first
yeah,
question is, how are you doing today? And that's not just how's your body feeling today?
yeah. No, I love that. I mean, my first question is how's the mind? How's the body? You know what I mean? Those
Yep.
are obviously subjective statements, but it kind of gives you a good guidance as far as, you know, where that next hour, hour and a half is going to lead you. You can definitely make that transition. You know, I always go into my sessions with at least two different plans. One is a plan, you know what I mean? This is what the intent of the day is. And then two, if they're walking in and they're just not there, I'm gonna meet them where they're at mentally and physically, and then see what we can achieve that day. You know, I think
Yeah.
that's, you know, part of being a great trainer, not just a good trainer, but a great trainer is being able to make those decisions on the spot instantly. I mean, know your clients, know your workouts, you know, adjust when needed. That way, at the end of the workout, client feels better, you feel better, your next session is going to be great. Usually, if I come in and they're just not feeling today, we'll get a little bit going. We'll maybe cut the session halfway short. Next session, they're fucking spot on. You know, what I mean, they feel a lot better leaving.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
And that's a good skill for them to understand as well,
Mhm.
because you know people have like it's an all or nothing every session.
Yeah, for sure.
And so like I had one session with a guy and he didn't get much sleep. He was driving back and forth from Topeka. There was a lot of stress with the situation. So when he came in Friday morning, I was like, all right, like we're scrapping the original plan.
Oh, yeah.
And then as I took him through that and we just kind of moved a little bit, like worked some rotation and, you know, had him on machine. So he was, you know, just externally stabilized. We didn't have to worry about like controlling his spine and his pelvis and all that stuff. And that was a talking point for me to him to teach the skill of like, look, every session is not going to be like a send it session. Like
Mhm.
if you have times like this is how you can dial things down so that you don't fuck yourself up, you know, because there is a risk of injury. There's a risk of just feeling like shit when you leave,
Oh, yeah,
you know, like
for sure.
tearing him. Like he still had a whole day of shit to do also. Like he still had to go back to Topeka. And I was like, all right, like this is how you can do this. And like at the end, he was like, oh, okay, like, that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Gotta get
really, once you get someone to really understand, like it's all about consistency. It's not always about giving 110% every single day. You know,
Yeah,
like you see some of these
for
corny
sure.
fitness influencers on Instagram and stuff like that. They're like, I never slack in the gym, 3 hours a day. You know what I mean? Like, and it's like, yeah, but that doesn't work for everyone. You know what I mean? Like other people
What's
have like really hectic lives. So if you can just get
what's
them,
that
get
fuckhead's
it into
name?
your client. Which
Is that
one?
Bradbury? Bradbury?
I'm not
Where's he
familiar with
going?
him.
Castleberry,
Oh, Castleberry, yeah. He's
Brad
like,
Castleberry.
you sleep 10, I'm gonna sleep 12. You sleep 2, I'm gonna sleep 1, just to fucking prove a point. It's like, get the fuck over yourself, man. I
Yeah,
don't think he
it's
got
like
caught with like fake plates and shit. So
yeah, but like, yeah, what I just try to get into my client's head, which is kind of what you were talking about, AB, is just like, hey, just get up and get moving every day. I promise you that you will feel better on days that you get up
yeah.
and you do something early, especially like obviously people have different schedules. Some people don't start work until midnight and they work all night. But hey, when you get up, if you can just move, even if it's for 5 minutes, I promise you, just getting that circulation flowing, getting that blood pumping, getting your body and your mind connected to each other. So many people, I think nowadays, just like wake up, get on their phones, start scrolling, go drink their
Mhm.
coffee, and they're just kind of zombieing their way through the first couple hours of their
Mm,
day. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
for
And if
sure.
you can just get them into that habit of just like, dude, I don't care what it is. If you just want to wake up and do some toe touches and some wall slides, I'm super happy with that. Just get up and do
Oh,
something. You know what I mean? And I
oh yeah.
promise the days that you do that, you
Yeah.
will always be more productive, be more mentally happy. Like just be more, just feel better throughout the entire day, have more energy, anything, literally anything. And obviously there's a time to push and there's a time to really get after it. But for the most part, it's just about consistent movement.
Yeah, no, I think you hit a tone there as far as, you know, set the tone for the day. If you're sluggish for your first 2 to 3 hours, it's going to be real hard to get motivated to come after lunchtime after you get a full belly.
I think the phone thing is huge.
The phone,
you know,
sure.
like that's like, I mean, my alarm's on my phone. So like immediately when I wake up, like, yeah, I relate to that. Like I'll turn my alarm off and then I kind of just, you know, flip through and I'm like, shit, I gotta get ready. Like, and I think there's a lot of people that have that same thing that you were talking about, right? They wake up and it's just like, I'm gonna scroll for 30, 45 minutes while I do my, you know, drink my coffee, and they're just kind of zombied out as they go into their day. So I like that. That's really, it's really an easy thing to do for people.
Well, sorry, we got some. I keep hitting my fucking earbud, and he's got like 6,000 screens in the background opened up. What was that?
I don't know.
Something, I don't know. Anyways, yeah, man.
No, yeah, my
What,
biggest pet peeve too as a manager of a gym, I'm not like a huge micromanager. I'm honestly pretty like chill. But one thing that I was strict about every single place that I went to was with my trainers, 0 phones. There's nothing worse than seeing a trainer in a session or even sitting behind the PT desk and just like looking down at their phone and scrolling. You know what I mean? Like that's so disrespectful and you are not being engaging whatsoever. It's also a liability because now you're not paying attention and they could be doing something unsafe. So my like big thing is your phone goes away like completely, not in your pocket, not on silent, you know, then you're not pulling it out. Your phone should be away from you during your session. You should go lock it up in a locker and you should just be focusing on that session. Because that's something you should preach to your clients too. Like, do you guys have the screen time notifications on your phone?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
The other, like maybe 4 or 5 months ago when I was just driving for Lyft and working at the restaurant, it was like your average screen time is 7 hours. And I was like, what the 7 hours? I was like, do you know how much I could get accomplished in 7 hours? And that was just for like 1 week, you know what I mean? But that was like a wake up call for me too. Like, dude, what are you doing on your phone for 7 hours a day? I promise you, there's nothing productive enough to be doing on your phone for 7 days. I promise you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's when I really turned it around for myself.
Yeah, I think people get attached to, you know, wanting to emulate people who they see that has no impact on their life, like social media influencers or people that look fucking shredded 24/7. You know what I mean? They have unrealistic expectations on themselves and they have unrealistic expectations of how people view them. You know,
I think it can very quickly become unhealthy. You know what I mean? However, social media is great because there's this huge influx of information that everybody has access to. You know what I mean? And I use social media for motivation for myself. You know, I follow some, you know, Chris Bum and people like that I really enjoy to look at and to like see. But mostly I follow people with good content, to be honest, because I always want to learn too. But social media can be a great tool and the internet is obviously a great tool and you can use it for motivation. But I think for a lot of people, probably more than 50%, at some point, if not all the time, it does become unhealthy and it does give them unrealistic expectations, false information, confidence issues. You know what I mean? So you really just have to be self-aware and manage that and say, hey, is what I'm like viewing and what I'm looking at every day, is this motivating to me? Is this helping me become better? Am I learning something from it? Or is it detrimental to my success? You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's something that you got to help your clients with too, I feel like.
I know I always get fucking clients wondering, you know, what's the next fad diet or what's the next this, you know what I mean? That's another big one you see on social media and the internet is, here's the best way to drop 15 pounds in the next 2 weeks, or here's the best exercise to fucking lose weight. You know, it's mind boggling as far as how many people just click it, sign up. 30 days later, they're either reverted back to their original state or they're worse off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That was my favorite question as a trainer. Hey, what's the best diet to lose weight? And I'd be like, calorie deficit. You know what I mean? Like that's a stupid answer, but it's kind of a stupid question. Like how people say there's no such thing as a stupid question. There absolutely is, but there's a stupid answer for the stupid question, you know? Calorie deficit. I don't care what you're eating. If less calories are in your body when you go to sleep when you go to sleep at night, or you consumed less calories than you burnt when you go to sleep at night, you'll lose weight. And I promise you, you'll lose weight consistently and very rapidly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Depending on how much of a deficit we're talking about. But it's extremely simple. There is no diet that's the best for weight loss. That's the best for weight gain. Like,
Yeah.
and everybody's body responds differently to things too. So
Yeah.
I've tried every single diet because I really dove into nutrition for a while when I was in college. I was full keto for 2 years, which was the longest that I did like any type of fad diet. But I was doing it more for anti-inflammatory benefits. So I was doing more of an anti-inflammatory diet. I wasn't eating like a lot of red meats. I was doing still a lot of like leafy green vegetables and high fatty stuff and like lean proteins. But I've done full vegan for 3 months when I tore my ACL. I heard that was great for recovery, was being completely vegan. So I did plant-based for three months. It was extremely hard and extremely expensive, but I'm glad that I got that experience, because now when I have a vegetarian or a vegan client, I'm like, hey, I can really help you with nutrition, because I only did it for 3 months, but I could share with you all my favorite recipes, like the easy stuff too, like where to go get it when you're out on the go and you need something healthy that fits your dietary parameters. And I've tried just about every single diet that you guys can imagine, even if it's just for like 6 to 8 weeks at a time, just because I wanted to see what kind of result that I got. And I kind of wanted to get a little bit more insight into what that looks like day in and day out. And like I said, everybody's different, bro. Like for me, I can pack on size or I can lose weight eating 6 to 8 times a day, small meals. That's how I tend to enjoy doing my diet. I just do, 300, 400, 500 calorie small meals, but I do like 6 a day. And that tends to work better for me than intermittent fasting, which I do kind of just by default. I kind of have like a 10-hour window, 12-hour window where I don't eat at all anyways. I don't like to eat late at night. So when I'm really into my fitness, I'm intermittent fasting just kind of based on my lifestyle. And then I'm trying all these different diets at different stages in my program, right? Like when I'm bulking, I use a different diet than when I'm cutting. And I've really loved to experiment with like the diet stuff, the nutrition stuff.
Yeah. Well, I think, experimenting and understanding that process, so you can empathize with clients who are struggling with that. You know what I mean? That's a good tool you have in your back pocket to be able to communicate back to them. Okay, you're struggling with this. I know how you're feeling. And then it just makes them more comfortable with you, so to speak, too. And also for me, if I don't understand or if it's out of my scope, I'm a tool for my clients. You know what I mean? I network. We're trying to network here with physios and, doctors and stuff like that, hopefully soon. But we have a good network just with our certifications through Prescript. I don't know if you've heard the brand or not, but just being able to be that tool or be that resource for your clients goes a long ways too, with trust, with retention and stuff like that. For sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you're never too old to learn something too, right? So
No.
You're constantly getting new clients and facing different challenges. And so it's like it's so good to it's not a negative thing to tell someone, hey, I'm not super familiar with that, or I don't know a lot about that, but let me do some research and get back to you when they have a question. When your clients ask you hard questions that you're not familiar with, it's your duty as a trainer to go dive into that and be like, hey, this is the information that I found, and this is what I think is the best action for the question or the nutrition or diet that you were bringing up. So like, that's what I love about training too, is that you're having to adapt and you're constantly having to learn. New science is always coming out and it never gets boring. As soon as you stop like learning as a trainer and get stagnant, that's probably when you'll not be successful anymore.
Yeah, you'll be behind the curve because science just is rapidly evolving with everything, especially in this industry too. So for sure. Yeah. Biggest pet peeve in the industry right now, what are you seeing?
I mean, to be honest, I don't really have one. Probably the social media stuff that we were talking about, where you can tell that it's just a front and you can tell that people are just trying to make a buck and, like sell whatever they're peddling at the time. And it's just super impersonal. That's probably my biggest pet peeve, but I'm not really like a guy who gets annoyed at any gym that I go to. And I go to a ton of different gyms. I'm always traveling. And so I'm always trying new gyms. And being around different demographics of people, different business models. And, you know, everywhere is different and everywhere has positives, you know, slightly negatives, but I don't really have like, I'm not really one of those, you know, stickler gym guys where I'm like, oh, this is wrong. You know what I mean? I'm kind of more interested, like, hey, why are you doing it this way? Like, explain it to me. You know what I mean? And then sometimes I'm like, hey, that's fucking great. And I'm going to use that myself. And sometimes I'm like, yeah, you know, not really my thing, but good for you.
Not my
It's
thing.
working for you, then keep doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I love that answer. 110%. Like for me, like when I see people out there who just claim to know fucking everything. I mean, that's one of my biggest pet peeves. I don't fucking
the arrogance is
fucking berate them by any means, but it's just like, bro, come on, you don't fucking know everything. Or they'll have like PMID research things underneath their post, but they get no like genuine context behind that. They just give you information, but can't intelligently speak on that. It's like, okay, here's science, but how do you make somebody who doesn't understand that science learn or understand, you know, the context behind all those big fancy words that you're using?
What you said is so important, and I preach this all to my trainers. I'm like, dude, we use the term in the Marine Corps, right? Break it down Barney style. I obviously don't use that anymore because people are like, what the hell are you talking about, dude? That's a total Marine saying. I'm like, you have to make this readable for your clients. You know what I mean? You can use all these big words that you learned in your kinesiology degree in college, and that's fucking great. Like, I'm glad you know those terms and you understand them. But if you're just throwing those out at your clients, they're not understanding, and it's not relatable. You really have to figure out a way to communicate your knowledge to your clients in a way that they understand and will retain the information. So I love that point that you just made right there. That's a huge thing with trainers. I hate when they're just spewing a bunch of medical terms and anatomy, and clients are just like, yeah, okay, whatever. I'm like, bro, that ain't win in one ear and out the other. You did them no benefit.
Yeah, it's like, oh, your shoulder might be a supraspinatus into your infraspinatus because you have no scap mobility. It's like, no, don't do that, because it's going to go in this ear and fucking out the other. You know what I mean? So it's my philosophy is, you know, always meet people where they're at. You know what I mean? Then build from there. I mean, I have one guy who's a very, very 5 why. You know what I mean? I'll explain the next couple of weeks, and he wants to know fucking why, and that's when you can get scientific, or that's when you can use the big words. You know what I mean? He's just like that person. But most of them are just, you know, what are we doing next couple of weeks? Kind of sit him down. Here's the next thing. Just talk to him like a normal fucking human being. You know, I think that's definitely gets lost in the sauce for sure. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you can use those big words, but as long as you use it and then you give a brief explanation that they're going to understand afterwards, right? Because then some of them might retain that information, and then you can start using that word to shorten the way that you're training, like in the future, because they're like, no, I understand when you say that my whatever, like I tried to explain the other day what an anterior pelvic tilt was to somebody, and just explain to them that how correcting that is going to help them, like with just like their lifestyle, like just day-to-day life. And they were like, oh, that makes so much sense. You know what I mean? But if you don't explain to them what an anterior pelvic tilt is and how you correct it and why it's important, then that word isn't gonna mean anything to them.
No, definitely not. But I think we'll go ahead and wrap it up, brother. It's always good to see you post on social media. You have a special place in the heart, for sure. We'll have to plan a trip, get together, for sure. You're in Denver?
Not too far.
Not too far. I'm
in Denver right now. And
go ahead.
Oh no, you were breaking up a little bit. You said you'll be in where, and then you broke up.
No, I'll be at a wedding in Estes Park here, middle of June.
Oh yeah, hit me up, bro. Definitely. I'd love to get together with you while you're in Denver, and then I'll extend this to both of you right now. I just found out about this business venture in Austin, Texas, but think Willy Wonka of fitness, dude. Like, there's a lot of ideas right now. I'm going down there this summer to meet with investors and like kind of like iron out, do some think tanks with the guys that are involved. But it's one of my old bosses that I've known for forever in the fitness community. He's starting a new business venture, and just bought 84 acres of land in San Antonio and is going to build just a massive fitness concept. Once we start ironing that kind of out, we'll have to reconvene. And then if I do end up moving down there and general managing this thing, you guys are more than welcome to come down. We want to have it, just to give you a little bit of our concept, we're also going to have it double as a PTSD retreat for veterans. We're also going to have it double as like, we're going to host like breathwork seminars and yoga retreats that people actually stay on the property overnight and do like a 48-hour yoga retreat, breathwork seminars, things like that. So it's going to be like, the way that I'm envisioning it in my head is like Coachella for fitness people. You know what I mean?
Dude, that's dope. Yeah.
And just lots of different events and stuff like that. So once we start ironing that out, we'll have to reconvene and I'll give you guys a better picture of kind of what direction we're heading with it. And then obviously if it gets open, you guys should come down and visit.
Oh yeah, always down for a road trip. But I'll shoot you a message here in a couple of weeks and kind of see if we can link up. At least have a couple of beers together, reminisce on old times. You know what I mean? So always
sounds good,
always
brother.
A pleasure to see your face. Yeah.
Yeah. Sure. Thanks for your time, Brandon. Appreciate you, man.
Let me know.
Great talk.
Yeah, it was really nice to meet you, AB. Good to hear about your guys' business too. I wish you guys all the best of luck in fitness and just let me know how I can help. You know, you as a resource. I'd love to talk business with you guys and work through problems that you're having. That's my favorite thing to do, is just like really work problems when it comes to running a business. So use me as a resource. Happy to help. It's great to meet you, AB. Great to see you, Chris. And hopefully I can see you here in Denver.
Oh yeah, man. Go get a nap.
All right, guys, have a great rest of your Saturday.
You too,
Have
brother.
a great rest of your Saturday, guys. See you.
See ya.